Hi guys and welcome back. Meze Audio has been on a hot streak lately, releasing the Poet, 105i, 105 Pro, and it seems that they are not going to stop anytime soon. And today I'm going to check the latest release, the 105 SILVA open back dynamic headphones. For those who don't know, I'm Romanian and SILVA stands for forest in my mother language, a nod to the natural landscapes of Romania that inspired both the sound and the look of these headphones. I tried their prototypes last year at the Meze Audio Factory. I tried them again this year at the Munich High-End Show, but I'm happy to report that the final production unit is now sounding even better. This will cost you $500 or 500 euros here locally, and let's check them out in the usual fashion and later compare them with their older siblings 105i and 109 Pro. While these are only $100 more expensive compared to 105i, we get a lot more in return. Not only do we get these beautiful wooden caps instead of plastic, but we also get a much thicker and a much sturdier cable, which I like quite a lot. And also, more importantly, also get a USB Type-C dongle DAC that drives them pretty easily. With the 105i, you still needed a source and an amplifier to drive them, but that is no longer necessary with the SILVA. Apart from that, we have an identical frame that's strong, lightweight and good looking without having rods or screws to be adjusted for a perfect fit. You just put them on your head and they will automatically slide down without applying lots of pressure on top of your head or around your ears. At 354 grams, these are considered lightweight by desktop headphone standards, and from my entire headphone collection, these three are one of the lightest headphones. But the real kicker is the comfort level that many headphone builders overlook. I have only a couple of headphones that I can wear for more than 3 hours straight, and the 105 SILVA are one of them. And the only nitpick I have with them is that, except for the stock cable that was specifically designed for them, you'll hardly find another cable with these super thin 3.5mm connectors that will go in. I have several third-party cables with regular 3.5mm connectors, but sadly none of them can be used with the SILVA. Cable quality seems to be better than that of the 105i, and it's similar to that of the 109 Pro. A headphone adapter is also included in the package, just in case you want to drive these with a desktop headphone amplifier. The cable is flexible, I don't hear microphonics when rubbing against it, and I see no reason to change it unless you want to go the balanced route, which Meze can help you with at an extra expense. The dongle DAC amp is super tiny and it works with both Android and iOS devices. There's plenty of volume with this, and I was surprised that the sound wasn't muffled and it didn't lack resolution as I was expecting. It's above average when it comes to technicalities and power output, but it does its job pretty well. As for the technology used when crafting these headphones, as you already guessed, these are open back dynamic headphones that use a very similar driver assembly to the 105i and also 109 Pro. The only difference is that we have right now a titanium coated torus as opposed to a beryllium coated one on 109 and also a polymer one on 105i. The cellulose composite dome driver, however, is very similar, it's the same on all three models. Also, we have the same impedance of 42 ohms and the same sensitivity of 111 dB per 1 single milliwatt of power. So yes, these are very easy to drive, and if you have a few USB Type-C dongles, maybe Bluetooth dongles, all of them will work just fine on this. And if you don't have any of that, don't worry, because the included USB Type-C dongle drives them pretty well. In the end, we get a high quality craftsmanship with an amazing attention to detail and outstanding comfort level long term, and a similar house sound that many of you already enjoy. Alright, this is all you need to know about them, so let's hit some eardrums and let's check their sound in the usual fashion. I'm not sure if you have ever tried any of the headphones in this lineup, but if you look at both 109 Pro and 105 Wire, then you'll quickly realize that they have some contrasting sound characteristics in terms of frequency extension, in terms of transient response, and also in terms of sheer resolution. For example, 109 was the one that completely changed my perspective on how I look at Meze Audio as a brand. They sounded a little hotter compared to what they did before, and I know many of you were asking specifically for this, but I believe Meze Audio slightly over-delivered with that treble output, sounding a little hotter on several occasions to what I would consider to be neutral or linear. But in terms of transient response, they were a chef's kiss, sounding considerably faster compared to what they did before, like 99 Classics, considering that we're dealing with a dynamic headphone and not a planar one. Then the 105 IR came along and it almost turned upside down the 109 Pro. The transients were no longer as fast, the sound was mellower, the sheer resolution was no longer as impressive. But the biggest upgrade, I believe, is that the treble was no longer as hard sounding. Actually, it was the other way around. It was rolled off past top octave, above 16 kHz to be more precise. I have a much more relaxed experiences with the 105 IR, and even if the sound lost that perfect timing, that perfect raise, maintain and sustain, and some of the nuances were also lost in transit, the sound gained some sort of magic properties, like it was the case with the 99 Classics a while ago. I could browse through some aggressive stuff on the 105 IR, and I didn't need some audiophile proof recordings to detach myself and feel great for a couple of hours. Alright, but how about the 105 SILVA? Well, imagine combining every sound attributes of the 109 with the 105 IR, and voila, in a nutshell, you are getting the sound of the 105 SILVA. Of course, I'm generalizing just a little bit here, but you can already picture the clear differences versus its older siblings. The biggest improvement versus 105 IR is that the sound is now snappier, we have faster transient response, the sheer resolution was also improved, there is more stuff happening on the micro scale and the inner detail feels a little boosted, all while adding extra nuances at the very top for a more natural treble roll-off. However, 105 SILVA is not quite there yet with the 109 Pro, but it's very, very close to it, especially on a technical level when it comes to resolution, quickness, and then Soundstage. The Soundstage of 109 Pro is still a little better, and it's hard putting it in numbers, but I'd say there is a 10% difference compared to the rest of the lineup. And 105 SILVA is ever so slightly more expansive and deep sounding compared to the 105 IR. Perhaps the biggest improvement of the SILVA versus the 105 IR is that we get a sharper stereo image, a sharper contour of the notes, and just clearer leading edges. There is a little bit of haziness happening on the 105 IR, like the windows to your music weren't wiped clean, something that I'm also getting with Sennheiser HD6XX line of headphones, something that is not happening on the SILVA. The clearer leading edges of the SILVA makes you focus on the things happening on the background much easier, making them more hi-fi and less mid-fi in a way. So you can still do better in this regard, especially if I'm looking at competition from hi-fi men, but that's not the main scope and idea behind the 105 SILVA. Now into the good parts. These were quite fun sounding with the included USB Type-C dongle, and of course they can do better once you start playing with some dedicated electronics in desktop or portable form. Their limits aren't so sky high as I have imagined, and if you want the best performance out of them, then a portable digital audio player will be more than enough. For fun, I also tried some desktop headphone amplifiers, solid states, tube based, but you know, they sounded better, but not much better compared to this USB dongle, and that's the beauty of it. These are easy to drive, these are easy on your wallet, and they won't require some massive headphone amplifiers with some huge voltage swings. I'm a little late with this review, mostly because my son keeps stealing the 105 SILVA from me when I'm away from my office. He's slowly becoming a music lover, and he already owns a portable digital audio player, also a pair of Audio-Technica headphones, and that makes me prouder than you can possibly imagine. We go together to live concerts, we listen to music together, and I'm constantly trying to plant this idea that headphones and speakers and electronics are just mere tools to enjoy the music. And one day I asked why he keeps stealing the 105 SILVA from me, and he told me that he finds them more comfortable to be used long term. These are not sweating his ears in the summertime, and also these are not piercing his ears like how Audio-Technica headphones are doing. So I can say that these are genre master headphones. You can listen to any musical genre. These do not have that thin mid-range. These do not have that metallic or bright treble that sometimes I'm getting from entry-level hi-fi headphones. It's nothing like that. These are easygoing. These are smooth and relaxing long term. As most open back dynamic headphones do, the mid-bass is slightly elevated by a few dB, and that makes them quite fun. There is a little bit of oomph and fullness to the whole affair that makes them quite interesting sounding in this regard. The sub-bass is slightly rolled off by around 1 to 2 dB, but that's not a big deal because most open back headphones doing the same, so this is a natural phenomenon with open back dynamic headphones. Most importantly, the bass is clearer and it's more defined and it's just of a higher quality compared to that of the 105i. And in this regard, these are much closer to the 109 Pro. With the included USB Type-C dongle, the sound is soft and inviting, but if you need a stronger punching power in the bass, then you'll need some dedicated electronics, maybe a portable digital audio player or a headphone amplifier. The one and only frequency region that doesn't need an introduction on Meze audio headphones is actually the mid-range region. This is the bread and butter of Meze. This is the trademark and the #1 reason why you might want to invest in a pair of 105 SILVA. I believe it's just remarkable sounding. I believe that the tone is just right on these headphones. They sound natural and organic, and the tonal richness is more impressive than most planar headphones deliver nowadays. And everything that has to do with woodwind or with string-based instruments will nicely shine on these, and the vocals are sweet and sometimes goosebump inducing, infusing life into old recordings in no time. The treble, however, feels quite easy on the ear and relaxed and smooth on the 105 SILVA, even if the textural information and inner detail is more impressive on the SILVA compared to 105i. The trebles are still zingy and biting, but even at higher loudness levels like 100 dB, you won't get bothered by treble intensive tracks. I believe that excessive ringing and all of the sharpness from this region are slowly wiped clean by the SILVA, as if a magic wand is somehow removing all of that unwanted resonance. I also measured this, but please don't take these measurements very seriously because Mini DSP ears is not following any international standard, but you can still get a general idea about how they perform. This is their raw frequency response, and as you can see, their drivers are exceptionally matched. They offer almost a straight line from 30 Hz to around 1 kHz, suggesting an exemplary bass and mid-range performance. You can see a minor roll-off in the sub-bass and another slope in the upper mid-range, but that's normal behavior as most open-back headphones do it. The most sensitive part of our hearing is no longer nasty looking, never going up by a single dB from the test signal. Here is also a direct comparison with the 109 Pro and 105i. You can pause for a moment and draw a conclusion. The spectrogram no longer shows a minor ringing of the caps in the bass region, and I don't see nasty distortions building up anywhere else. Distortion reading is looking good, and the spectral decay shows a somewhat fast but not ultra fast sounding pair of headphones. In the end, the only thing that bothered me is that I couldn't use my third-party cables. For example, this is a regular 3.5mm connector, and as you can see, it's not going in because the barrel inside is much thinner, and that's why you should use only the stock cable. And if you need a balanced connection, then Meze Audio can help you with that at an extra expense. Apart from that, for extra $100 compared to 105IR, we get a much thicker and sturdier cable. We get a USB Type-C dongle. We get a titanium coated driver compared to a polymer one that is much more technical sounding and faster sounding as well. And we get these wooden accents that are much classier looking compared to plastic on the 105IR. For a more affordable price versus 109 Pro, we also get a very similar technical performance, not exactly on the same level, but very close to it, without pushing the treble to the upper limits of our hearing. These are still far from perfect sounding, as we do not have the resolution or the kick of planar headphones, but they still offer a tremendous value. And let's not forget the easy serviceability and of course the young and vibrant Meze Audio team with the best after-sales support, in my opinion. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed my review. Don't forget to like, dislike, maybe subscribe to this channel if you found this video helpful, and I'll see you soon with a HiFiMan HE1000 unveiled review. Cheers!